Hi guys, Josh Lloyd here for your NBA first look for DraftKings for Monday. We've got 8 games on. Let's talk about them right now. The first one of those games is the Rockets and the Hornets. We're talking about a 7 p.m. tip here. No spread or total out at this spot. We should get John Wall back. He missed the last game for Houston. There's no Christian Wood. While Devontae Graham didn't play on Sunday, he may or may not be available. We don't know at this stage. He's dealing with a groin problem. With him out, Malik Monk has been the guy getting those minutes. Paul Washington is back already for Charlotte. Value-wise, DeMarcus Cousins is at 7,100. I like that value still. He had 36 points last game in 30 minutes, and it wasn't exactly a dominating performance from Cousins. I think that's great value for him there. I think Washington at 5,700 is all right. Now, he didn't exactly light the world on fire in his first game back, but I think he can do better than that. Well, John Wall at 7,400. Wall is actually putting up, 38 a game over the last 5. We're seeing his minutes restriction being eased off, and I think returning here, he looks good. LaMelo Ball's been great. But 8,300, do I want to spend that on Ball, who's, again, putting up good numbers? He had 38 today, 59 the game before, 38 the game before that. But at 8,300, I want consistency over 40. And I think that might be too high there for LaMelo. 6,100 for Cody Zeller's probably on the high side, while Jay Sean Tate at 4,800 has at least some upside value, but I'm not massively in on it. I'd rather use a 7,900 on a Gordon Hayward. I'd even take a 6,000 on Eric Gordon as well, though Gordon tends to do better when one of either Wall or Oladipo are sitting. Don't be too fooled by the big game Miles Bridges had on the weekend. Cody Zeller was limited with fouls, and that gave more minutes to Bridges in that scenario. So I wouldn't be looking at him as any sort of must-roster guy that we've got to include after that 15 rebound performance that he had on Sunday. The next game we take a look at, the Toronto Raptors and the Memphis Grizzlies. The Raptors are 3-point favorites here in this one. No OG Anunoby again. DeAnthony Melton is out for Memphis, so that clears up a little bit of the guard rotation. Brandon Clark is also out again. Ja Morant has been a little bit disappointing. He's at 7,500, and he really isn't giving us that level that we need at that salary. 33, 28, 23, 31. Those first 2 games of the season the Mirage, or are these 9 games since he returned the Mirage? I'm not sure. The matchup's not a bad one for Ja. I'd be interested in him with a GPP, but I'm not feeling super confident. I also think this is a game where we get more Aaron Baines than Chris Boucher trying to match up against Jonas Valanciunas. Of course, the big, thick, chunky boys like Valanciunas. Nick Nurse doesn't like seeing Boucher go up against them. So I think there's a risk there. Baines is at 3,900. Now, I wouldn't be massively excited about Baines at that salary, but I don't completely dislike it. I wonder if Xavier Tillman will get another start. He's at 4,900. Don't love him for DFS purposes. While Kyle Lowry against one of his former teams, he's at 7,800 here, Lowry. I don't love it there. I'd much rather take a Van Vliet at 8,500, who has been really putting up big performances. Pascal Siakam at 79. Anything under 8,000 for Siakam normally gets my attention, and this is no exception. While guys like Desmond Bane at 38. Now, Bane, they keep limiting his minutes. If they just let him run wild and play 27-28 ahead of Dylan Brooks, which absolutely they should, he would beat that number really comfortably. But I'm just not confident that he's going to get enough playing time to be the guy that we want him to be. Norm Powell at 6,500 is probably right about the right price. I wouldn't say it's particularly appealing, but it's also not something that's a complete turn-off. The next game is the Wizards. They're taking on the Bulls. There will be no Russell Westbrook as it is a back-to-back. So Hull Neto, minimum salary play. Now Neto's returning from his own injury, but minimum salary, he's got to be worth a look. While Ish Smith is at $5,000. Now, that's a lot for Ish Smith, but I'd say they start Smith in this one, and he could have 30 points very easily. Both of those guys are worth a look. They also started Alex Len on Sunday, and it was an absolute disaster as Scott Brooks played him 8 minutes, and he had 7 fantasy points. Now, prior to that, he had a 38-point game in the last couple. So I don't really know what Brooks is going to do. Will he go back to Len now going up against the Bulls in their front court? Is a very, very good opportunity for centers to put up good numbers. So that's why I'd be interested in using Len at 4,300. Much so much more so than I would be with Robin Lopez or Mo Wagner. Beal's at 9,000. That's a good price for Beal, who actually has been underperforming a little bit, averaging just 37 over the last 3. Had just 40 today, but no Westbrook. His usage should go up. 6,400 for Kobe White doesn't interest me at all, nor does Davis Bertans, while 8,900 for Zach LaVine I do like. We don't have word on Otto Porter or Lauri Markkanen, who have missed the last couple. They're both questionable. I expect Porter to be out, and I think that Markkanen probably will be as well. And that means Pat Williams at 5,100 would become a very good option for us. Williams is averaging 31 points over the last 3, but if both Markkanen and Porter play, it's a little bit harder to utilize him. Thad Young is up at 6,700, and he actually let us down last game, just 26 points. I think that price is probably on the high side, and I wouldn't be super interested, especially if Markkanen is in and playing. Next game is the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Dallas Mavericks. Karl Anthony Towns is doubtful for this game, while D'Angelo Russell is questionable. We also have Juancho Hernan-Gomez is questionable, and James Johnson is questionable for Dallas. Porzingis is at 8,400. He hasn't been hitting that mark enough for me. He's averaging 40 over the last 3, but that's not quite where it needs to be. Now, anyone going up against the Timberwolves is always in for a good time, so I think that gives him a boost, as it does for Luka Doncic at 11. I think they're both fairly solid value options given the quality of the opponents. If you want to take a flyer on someone, I like Jaden McDaniels at 3,500. He's been playing at a relatively high level. It hasn't been necessarily giving us big DFS points, but he had 20 points last game in 24 minutes, and at 3,500, if I can get 20 points out of a sub 4,000 guy, I absolutely will do it. Jalen Brunson's at 4,400. He's getting over 20 minutes a night. I'm not super into him here, while Josh Richardson at 5,000 is a GPP option. And if Towns is out as expected, Naz Reid at 6,000 is a pretty good play. He had a career high last game, which involved 29 real-life points and 40 DraftKings points. He should be a 30-plus guy, and that, without Towns, is a good value for cash and for tournaments. If D'Angelo is out, I'm not super keen on Rick Rubio. He has not been playing well, but I would be interested in Anthony Edwards at 6,100. Now, Edwards will probably miss a ton of shots, but he'll just get so much volume that he has to be in play. He's also listed only as a power forward, but I guess that's where he's playing. He's obviously not a power forward, but that's where he's playing at the moment, and there is some value in using him if we do get news that D'Angelo Russell does happen to miss this game with whatever fake bullshit injury they're throwing out there at the moment. Next game we look at is the Golden State Warriors. They're taking on the San Antonio Spurs. The Spurs are 1-point favorites and the total is 233. No LaMarcus Aldridge for San Antonio, no James Wiseman, no Kevon Looney for Golden State, while Eric Paschall is questionable. If Paschall is out, that gives more value to Juan Toscano Anderson, who's priced at 4,500. Toscano Anderson has been playing well. Pascal's return would impact him a little bit, but I still like him as an option. With no Lonnie Walker, who's also out for the Spurs, Pat Mills at 4,200. I think looks all right. He'll play some more minutes. I wouldn't say he's a tournament guy, but I wouldn't say he's a cash guy, but he's a tournament guy. While Derek White at 5,100, I love that price for Whitey. I think that's really, really good. And DeRozan at 7,700 is also in a really strong spot there. Not keen on Keldon Johnson. It's been a little bit disappointing. While Jakob Poeltl, they've priced him way up at 5,900, and that's what takes me out of the Jakob Poeltl business. Oubre's at 6,000 only for tournaments, and I'd say the same for Andy Wiggins at 64 only for tournaments. Steph is way up there at 10,300, and that's just because he's eviscerating teams. He's averaging 56 over the last 5. He dropped 75 the last time he was out on the court. Now, I'm not sure that we expect 70 from Steph, but 50, maybe. I think he's worth a look for sure. I might want to reach up a little bit more and take Doncic at 11,000 than taking Steph at that salary. Next game is the Cavs taking on the Phoenix Suns. The Suns, we don't know whether Šarić, Crowder, Nadir, or Payne will play. None of them played on Sunday, but they could be back for this one. The Cavs will be without Kevin Love and Larry Nance. So Andre Drummond at 8,200. They'll play some centers together, and that means more minutes for Drummond, so I like that. Ayton's at 6,900, and honestly, he just continues to disappoint, and I don't feel particularly comfortable using him. While the artist formerly known as Taurean Prince, he'll get another opportunity to start. That means he gives us another opportunity to be disappointed in him, so I wouldn't be using him outside of tournaments. Well, Devin Booker dropped in 11 assists on Sunday, and that's been something that's been just absolutely missing from Booker's numbers. Can he get that back on track? I am not putting faith in it yet, but 7,400 is a good GPP option. Colin Sexton hasn't been where he needs to be. He's doing that thing where he's being inefficient, and of course he offers very little in the counting stats, and that's impacting his overall value. I am not super interested in Colin Sexton here, nor am I in Chris Paul or Bridges. Darius Garland at 62 is worth a look, and I think he has a relatively solid floor that gives us some level of appeal for DFS over here on DraftKings. The next game we look at is the Milwaukee Bucks. They're taking on the Denver Nuggets. Should be a pretty good game, I would hope anyway, given these two teams. Gary Harris is out, but Jamal Murray is questionable, and of course that has a big impact on what the rotations look like. We saw Porter jump back into the starting lineup with Monty Morris last game. Wouldn't say Porter played well, but at 6,100 there is definite upside in using him. It just depends on how Malone uses that rotation. Giannis is at 10,900. I really like that one. He should put up 50 here relatively comfortably, averaging 59 the last 3 times against Denver, while Middleton at 75, he's actually been down. He's averaging under 27 points in the last 3 games, which obviously isn't great, while Big Chungus Nikola Jokic is at 11,100. Now, Jokic's last 3 games against Milwaukee have been subpar, averaging 38. That's not good, but his last 5 actual games have given us 61 points, and he dropped 89 in that last game against the Kings. I like Jokic quite a bit here. I wouldn't be just going all in on him. I'd want to split that 11,000 with him and Doncic, but yeah, he's obviously in a good spot. Drew Holiday at 7,700 looks all right to me as well, but limited upside, while Monty Morris at 51 looks great if we do hear that the Blue Arrow, the headmaster Jamal Murray, is sidelined with that knee problem that kept him out the last time that Denver played. The last game of the day is the Oklahoma City Thunder. They are taking on the Los Angeles Lakers in LA. This is massive blowout risk here. The Lakers are 12-point favorites, and the total is 217.5. Al Horford should return here, but Isaiah Roby and Mike Muscala are both questionable. Big opportunity for Montrezl Harrell at 5,300 just to put up some decent numbers in a game which could be a blowout. Now, he has been pretty poor of late, but I think this is a decent opportunity, and I wouldn't mind throwing Talen Horton-Tucker at his sub 4,000 salary, 3,900 to be exact, into a GPP lineup. Anthony Davis at 9,600. Now, we can all say that Davis has been disappointing us, but sub 10,000 Davis is one that I want to get involved with. And I also like the 8,000 for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's playing at a really high level, returning from his injury. I love Al Horford at 6,300. Now, the matchup against the Lakers probably doesn't work exactly in his favor, but with how he's been playing, it's very hard to leave him alone. While I think 5,700 for Dennis Schroeder is not a bad GPP option, he can be a 30-plus point guy. He's averaging 37 against the Thunder, his former team, while Teo Maledon will get another start, but I'm not sure with everyone back that he is the best option for us here. That'll do it for me today. That's a quick look at DraftKings for Monday. Hope you're enjoying the Super Bowl if you're watching it currently and you've taken time out of your day to watch me. Appreciate that. Don't forget you can find me on my channel, Josh Lloyd Fantasy Basketball. Subscribe here, hit the bell for notifications, and give it a thumbs up, guys. We are done here. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. See ya.